Hello, this is Charlotte from Big Girl Budgets, and we're going to make something really beautiful today. We're going to make these mixed media art cash envelopes from a pile of scraps, essentially. So I'm just going to clear away some space. I found lots of scraps. I found a little wren, these mushrooms, and using lots of scraps like old text blocks, coffee dyed paper. I'm going to just go with the flow and just do some mixed media art. I don't have a plan in mind, I'm just seeing what happens. This is a sheet from an old car manual. I'm going to waterproof it with some Mod Podge. It is going to get quite wet, so I need to seal it really. So using a paintbrush, I'm going to waterproof it with a thin layer of Mod Podge. Getting right into the corners and right into the edges just prevents any rips and tears as the paper gets wet. Just drying it off now with my arch dryer. Can't think what it's called. It's essentially a very small hairdryer. I'm going to put some gesso on the page now using a sponge. This just takes away any of the shininess. It breaks up the harsh print. I know I'm going to be sticking things on this page. I don't know how much of the page is going to be showing. Just go with the flow really, like I've already said. But just like to break it up really with a layer of gesso. As I've said, I just do what I feel like doing when I do my mixed media art. I find it a great stress reliever. I'm just playing really, so I'm tearing up lots of different colours of coffee dyed paper from different types of books, different patterns, textures, prints, anything that takes my fancy, and then I'll choose a few centerpieces. And I'll just stick all the pieces on in whatever way I fancy. I normally start from the outside and work my way in, but it all depends on what I'm working with. I must say this is probably my favourite part of mixed media, just randomly sticking things on in a way that makes me feel good. I really like seeing the mixtures of plain paper, squared, lined, print. I love the musical notes mixed with it all, and the stamps, the different sizes and different shapes of the paper. I just really enjoy seeing it all together. So I'm going to give it another little dry with my little arch dryer. I've got a rubber stamp here, I like to just go over with a stamp of some kind just to add extra detail. It helps to pull all the different textures and patterns together by having something that continues across the whole design. Now I'm just going over with some gesso once again. This just pushes some of the harsher patterns back. It also helps to bring it all together. And now I'm cutting out my little wren. Just going to give the little wren a toenail cut, just cutting its nails, claws. Another little dry, just to make sure that all the layers are dry. And then I can start playing with bits that I'm sticking on. So I'm just inking the edges now. This just gets rid of any harsh white edges. It also just makes the pieces look like they're meant to be like this rather than cut out of a book. Obviously I know they are cut out of a book, but it's nice if they don't look so obviously like they've been cut out. And I'm just cutting out my little mushroom now. And once I'm happy with the placement, I'll then stick them down with the Mod Podge. And now I'm just going around the edges just to soften them slightly with the gesso again. Just knocks back the harsh edges and makes the pieces feel part of the main design rather than they've just been slapped on. Going over with Mod Podge again for more waterproofing. And drying it, that's essential. This is a game changer, this art dryer. It made everything so much easier to finish. I'm just rubbing an old ink pad over just to darken some of the edges. This is something I've not tried before, so I've got texture paste which I have used before, but I'm going to try and put it over this piece of pastel packing. Unfortunately it doesn't quite have the effect that I want, so I end up just spreading it on instead. Try and stamp it in, but it's not working, so I just sort of spread over it instead. And I'll go back to my trusted stencil in a moment instead to add some texture. Again, just drying everything off is essential. I've got a water bottle and some inks. Because the page has been waterproofed, I can actually just spray the water on the inks to make it drip and spread out across the page. I love the way this looks. It reminds me of moss, I think. It's like a mossy green. And I really love the mixture of the combination of green and pink. It is one of my favourite combinations. Drying everything off in between really helps to keep the colours separate where I want them to stay separate and not run into each other. So now I've decided I actually want to stick more cutouts onto the page, and like I said, I really just do what I feel at the time. I don't really have a set idea of what it is going to look like. Originally I had wanted the wren to stand out a lot more, but it is quite small, so it's just going to be a smaller part of the larger design. So I stuck down the mushrooms. I gessoed the edges just to blend them in a little bit. My phone cut out at that point. I'm just going around with the gesso once again. I wasn't quite happy with how much was on there. Just stamping it in just to age some of the corners. And now with my watercolour pencils, I'm actually going to highlight and sort of add some shadows, some shading into the design. Particularly like this stage of a mixed media design. If I use this method, I feel like adding the shading with the watercolour just brings an extra depth to the whole design. It just stops it from looking so 2D. And this is the finished design. So I photocopied it, and then I'm going to cut it up. I don't have to worry about ruining it because I have the original piece that I can photocopy at any time. So I'm highlighting those mushrooms, and then I'm cutting some laminate into the size that I require to do the inside of my pocket. Pop that into the laminator sheet, and then I'm just cutting my label now. So I have I can actually print out words from my printer, but I've been using these stamps quite a lot, so I'm just going to continue using these for now. And again, just slide it into the laminator sheet. And run it through the laminator. So you saw me just cut the top off there. That was just so that the envelope would open from the correct side. And here we are, that's 2 of them. I have made a few more. I love them. Hole punch them and use them for cash stuffing. and then I'm going to add them to my cash binder. That's it. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you again soon.